Members of Congress tonight have no idea what's going on with the federal government's huge bailout of the financial industry. The government has already given financial institutions trillions of dollars, quite literally, the Fed putting out $2 trillion in loans over the past year and a half. Congress don't know who's received that money, and the Federal Reserve refuses to be held accountable or to give any kind of transparency at all. Louise Schiavone with our report.
And Federal Reserve are working overtime to shore up the financial system. But more and more economists and strategists say what's missing are results and transparency, starting with the massive loans now issued by the Federal Reserve. The Fed resisting calls to say who's getting them.
I don't think it should be okay with anybody right now. Congress should want to know. The Fed is not. Even though we want it to be independent, it's not a power unto itself that makes its own laws.
The Federal Reserve tells CNN that about $1.5 trillion in loans have been issued by the central bank. It's an extraordinary amount of money, considering the fact that in the summer of 2007, outstanding Fed loans stood at $100 million. But out of concern for the reputations and soundness of the institutions involved, the Fed will not report who's getting the money now and what collateral they're using.
Taxpayers are stretched thin, and to tell taxpayers that it's not really any of their concern where $1 trillion may be headed, not to mention how much more there may be and will be after this, is really unconscionable.
On a parallel track, the financial sector bailout, which both the Treasury and analysts agree is not yielding immediate results.
Excess cash reserves of banks, usually they blend to each other. It's usually somewhere between $3 and $7 billion collectively for all the banks. I just looked up the number today. It's approaching $300 billion. They don't want to lend it.
And people are losing their jobs.
All of these nightmare scenarios that were painted while this bailout was being debated are starting to come true.
Lou, Congress constructed the $700 billion bailout. Where does it stand? Senate Banking Committee Chairman Chris Dodd tells me that he favors more transparency. A spokesman for House Financial Services Committee Chairman Barney Frank says, in general, he does too, and hopes to get some answers from the Fed and from the Treasury when they appear on Capitol Hill next week. Lou?
All right, Louise, thank you very much. Louise Schiavone from Washington.